into New York, yo, into New York, yo, into New York, to New York, to New York, put the yo into New York, yo, into New York, yo, into New York, to New York, to New York.
And welcome to Crash Chords Autographs. Today, Matt welcomes a jack of all trades, namely the singer-songwriter, producer, and DJ mashup artist, meekly known as ShyBoy. Once a member of the band Hypnogaja, ShyBoy discusses their present dissolution, but reaffirms a working relationship with its members for some of his solo work which he also discusses from his last two albums, Lost in Space and Water on Mars, to his most recent EP, Daisy Pusher. An active DJ, ShyBoy's solo career was complemented by a recent residency at the Club Bootie at the Echoplex in Los Angeles. And replete with a love for making mashups, ShyBoy's life as a multifaceted man of the industry is discussed with Matt in thorough detail. So, from musical tastes and a nod to Donna Summer, to sci-fi and comic books, here's Matt Storm and ShyBoy.
How are you, man?
All right.
I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me for a bit.
No problem. I'm glad somebody wants to talk to me.
Well, I've been a big fan of Hypnogaja and your work since pretty much as far back as I can remember since you guys started. And the newest record that you released, Lost in Space, I really, really enjoyed. So I wanted to reach out and chat. So the first question I wanted to ask is, the two newest records, Waters of Mars and Lost in Space, are obviously space-themed. Is there a specific reason for it besides the songs themselves, or is there a specific connection to space that you wanted those records to reflect?
Just my childhood obsession with space travel.
Oh, yeah? So you're a big sci-fi nerd then, I'm guessing, too, and enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Also, obviously, you've been doing solo work for quite some time, as well as your work with Hypnogaja. Is that a thing that you're planning on going back to, working with the rest of the guys of Hypnogaja and doing band stuff, or is this kind of the direction you're planning on taking, just sticking solo?
This is kind of the direction I'm planning on taking. I still work with the guys in Hypnogaja on my solo stuff, so there's no, bad blood there or anything, but we've all moved on, and this is what we're doing now.
Cool. Well, I know you work with Mark still a lot. I see him in the live shots. I'm friends with him as well, and I've chatted with him a bit, so it's cool to see that. He was actually, I'd done an interview with you guys, text-based, via email ages ago, and he did a lot of the call and response for me on behalf of the band, which was a lot of fun. And there's definitely a crossover sound between your solo stuff and the work you had been doing in Hypnogaja. Especially with your singing voice and the style kind of bleeds through from one to the next. Do you have any plans? I know you were in New York a while back. Do you have plans on going on tour as ShyBoy and seeing the country and playing some more live shows?
If those opportunities present themselves, yes.
Awesome.
They have yet to pretty much present themselves. When we went to New York, we were part of the CBGB Fest there. So that was the main reason for going out there and doing those shows, because we had something that actually took us out there. But nothing's on the books as far as a big tour or anything right now.
Okay. So how did you get your start with music? Obviously, your sound is very influenced by rock and techno, it sounds like, and a lot of other things. When you were younger, did you always want to be a singer and a musician, or is it something you came to later?
Kinda. I grew up, a big fan of music, obviously, and I was in every choir I could put myself into and doing music that way, just because I wasn't really good at any kind of sports or whatever, but I needed an after-school activity. So that was usually music-related or theater-based. And but I didn't really decide to do music until I moved to San Francisco and joined my first band up there, which was a rap metal band.
Wow.
And I had actually been writing raps for a while at that time, and was pretty obsessed with hip-hop and all of that. And so that was a natural choice for me to join a rap metal band. And then I met Mark and started doing music down in L.A., and then Hypnogaja was born pretty soon after that.
Do you have any dreams of going back, maybe not towards rap metal, but doing rapping in your work going forward?
Actually, I did this little mixtape. I don't know if you caught it. It's the Interstellar Travel Companion mixtape.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah, it kind of bridges the two, Water on Mars and Lost in Space together. And there's a song on there called Zeitgeist that I did with an LA outfit called Shotgun Radio. And I actually did spit a little verse.
Very cool.
Actually rapped a little bit, and I hadn't done that in a while.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed also about the work you've done with Hypnogaja and also on your own is you're a big fan of older music, and you do some really interesting work with covers. Like She Works Hard for the Money on the newest record is probably one of my favorite covers I've heard in a long time. So you took a song that's already really great and then made it your own and evolved it.
Thanks.
And where did the idea to cover that song come from? Is it something you'd always wanted to do, or it's just something that kind of came to you?
Well, Mark and I are really big fans of Donna Summer,
Mm-hmm.
and love all her work. And we wanted to do a cover of one of her songs. After she died, we were, touched by her absence and wanted to give a little back to her and kind of pay tribute. And I wanted to do something that was both her and me at the same time.
Sure.
So we kind of revamped She Works Hard for the Money.
Yeah, it's actually like I've shared the record with a lot of my friends, and that's a lot of the times they go, well, this is awesome and the original work is great, but he really I like something about someone who can take a cover and make it their own. You know, it's very easy to just do an homage and kind of replicate the original, which is also cool in its own right, but to take something and kind of make it your own sound, but still honor what came before is a neat thing to see.
Yeah, I love doing that, and I like to think that my style is great enough that I can take anything and make it my own.
Well, yeah, I mean, even back with Hypnogaja, when you guys covered Here Comes the Rain Again, that's another one where you guys kind of just took a song that was originally beautiful, but also changed it to make it your own and give it a new spin.
Yeah, we definitely did that. I don't know if you know, but there are covers of our version of Here Comes the Rain Again all over the internet.
Are there really? No, I hadn't known that. That's pretty cool.
For whatever reason, it became a really big hit in Turkey.
Oh, wow.
You can see some Turkish kids get down and play our chords and sing my licks to that song. I think they think we wrote it.
That's pretty neat, though, that people are showing their love for a song that either they thought you wrote or they just like that version so much.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to feel appreciated.
So obviously you're a big fan of music, both making it and listening to it. Besides, working on music itself, do you have any hobbies or pastimes that you really enjoy aside from
comics? I really like comics a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was a big X-Men fan growing up, and, I love Marvel, and right now I'm obsessed with The Walking Dead books, and Spawn. I collect those back issues. Comics I think are a bit of a hobby for me.
Do you, so you mentioned The Walking Dead, which I also read myself, although I'm way behind on it. Have you been watching the show as well, or do you just...
Oh, yeah, I love the show. The show's actually what got me into it. Like, I watched that first season, and then it ended, and I was like, okay, I really need more. So I went and started buying the collected editions on my iPad.
Yeah, it's kind of great the way technology has made comics reading almost even instantly easier because you can just download everything.
I fought the digital thing for a while because I wanted to be a cool, comic book collector. But, I ran out of room on my shelves to put books on. So And then one of the reasons I never got into The Walking Dead as a comic is I wasn't really into black and white comics, but on my iPad it's all cool and backlit, and it's a lot more entertaining than just reading a black and white paper comic.
Sure. Yeah, kind of. Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny, though, with the physical media stuff. Like, I feel the same way about my CDs. I moved in with my fiance about 6 months ago, but a lot of my stuff was still at my old place, and I've recently been moving my CDs and a bunch of other stuff over, and I'm looking at them going, I don't need the discs anymore. Yeah. But, like, I like having that physical media because I love the art books and all that other stuff, and it's cool to see that, but it's like, it just takes up so much space, and they're so heavy. It's like, you have to eventually, I think, in a time like this, let go of that physical media stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. I've got a big stack of CDs that I need to get rid of, but the physical holds a piece of my heart, and I can't quite part with them all the way.
Yeah, that's something I can totally relate to. I mean, also, there's something about a vinyl record, like the way it looks and smells and sounds on a record player that you don't get from an MP3.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've got a big vinyl collection as well.
Oh, yeah? How many vinyl records do you have?
A big closet full and then some.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Have you ever thought about printing any of the ShyBoy stuff on vinyl records?
We have. It's expensive, though, so right now it's cost prohibitive.
Sure, I'm sure. I mean, that's the great thing about digital media as an artist is you can just put it out. There's much less cost to releasing something online versus releasing the physical media because nothing has to be made.
Yeah. Exactly.
With your writing process, when you're putting together an album, like, for example, the new album, Lost in Space, do you start with lyrics and then kind of put the music together, or does the music come first, or does it change from song to song?
It changes from song to song. There's a song, Missing Michigan, that's on Lost in Space, and I pretty much had the whole lyric and melody written a cappella, and then I got together with Wendy Waldman and her son Abe, and we wrote some chords with Mark Newbar to go with the a cappella song I had written. And then there's other times, like in Water and Mars, Wendy wrote those piano chords, and then my concept kind of came to light, and I pretty much wrote all the lyrics and melodies the next day.
Oh, wow.
Just because her chords were speaking to me. So it all depends.
And for the album titles and the themes of the albums, you said you are someone who's very much looking to the stars and obsessed with space. Is it just the ideas to create these space theme records just kind of happen because of that love, or does it just feel natural from the way the songs are written and the arc that comes together?
I guess a little bit of both. I don't like to dictate, too much or set too many rules. I kind of like to let things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm obsessed with space and all of that and what that entails. So usually I will write about whatever I'm currently obsessed with or thinking about or whatnot.
Makes sense. I mean, and the arcs are so tightly weaved together on those records, and they just fit so well that a space theme kind of just supports the whole thing. You've released 2 records, 2013 and 2014, pretty much years back to back. Do you have another record already on the chopping block to come out in 2015? Have you been working on some new stuff?
Actually, yeah. I have a new EP that comes out later this month. Called the Daisy Pusher EP, and it's a little bit of a separation from those because I actually recorded it a while ago with Mark Newbar,
mm-hmm.
and we kind of just shelved it and didn't know what to do with it, and now we decided the time is right, and we're just going to go ahead and put it out.
Oh, cool. Very awesome. And where will people be able to find that, and when?
iTunes. I think it comes out the 27th.
Excellent. Very cool. I'll make sure that I put a link to the episode, to that record or EP rather, when the episode comes out.
Cool.
Yeah, of course, sure. It's just always nice to share with the world artists that I appreciate and think do such great work, especially since your sound I feel is so unique because you're not just trying to be a heavy rock band or a techno act, or you're melding genres and mixing certain things, and even from song to song the style of your record can change but still fit within the through line. And I think that's an interesting thing to hear, because you don't hear that a lot now. A lot of people stick to one genre and just go, I'm going to stick here and I'm not going to experiment and play. And I mean, some fans like that safety, but I always appreciate when an artist will take risks.
Yeah. A lot of that sometimes is due to record labels and whatever A&R agenda they're pushing. And, sometimes artists don't really get to say if they want to change styles or not.
Sure.
But I have the luxury of being independent, so I can pretty much do whatever I want.
which seems to work out very well, at least for those albums and for your work. Do you have any plans on doing? I know you had actually featured another artist on your newest record, Black Molly, on the song Star-Crossed Lovers. Do you plan to do any other feature work? Have people sing on your record, sing on other records coming up?
Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to be doing some work with Kat Robichaud, who was featured last season on The Voice. She's moved out to California, and we've since become friends, and planned on doing a couple shows together, and I think we might actually record a duet and put that out.
Very cool. Awesome. If you could duet, this is the kind of dream question. If you could do a duet with any artist, who would that be and why, alive or dead?
That's a really, really hard one.
I know, it's like asking someone to pick their favorite thing of their things,
I mean, honestly, I would probably choose Donna Summer.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's had such a great voice, and I feel like I could learn from her. And I feel like she would have little tidbits. Actually, I went and saw a show with this guy, Prince Poppycock, who sang with Donna on America's Got Talent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I couldn't wait to ask him how that was, so we asked him, and he said that it was great, and she was really nice, and she gave him the advice of eating fresh pineapple and mango before the show, and it actually will help coat the throat and help you sing better. So now I actually do that before shows.
Wow, that's great. So you eat fresh pineapple and mango before every one of your shows? I
try to, yes.
That's awesome. I see, and I know a lot of singers. I've never heard that one before, so that's a cool trick to learn.
I've never heard it either. I've heard the juice thing and hot tea, but the fresh mango and pineapple actually really do a great job. Something about the pulp and the fresh juice.
Very cool. Not only has this interview been enlightening, it's educational too. That's always good. So I know we talked a little earlier about you not really getting into your heavy music career until you moved to the West Coast. Have you always lived on that side of the country, or did you only move there later on?
I moved there later on. I grew up in Michigan.
Oh, okay. And what gave you that desire or want to move to the other coast?
I just wanted to get out of Michigan, honestly.
Not a lot to do in Michigan?
Well, I'm from Ann Arbor, which is like a college town. It's actually not unlike Berkeley or a place like that. And it's a really cool town. We used to say, oh, I wish I didn't grow up here because then I could come here and discover it for the first time. But you grow up somewhere, you kind of want to get out and spread your wings. And
sure.
I'd had a friend that had moved out to San Francisco and invited me to come live with them, so I took him up on it and went out there as soon as I could.
Cool. Yeah, it's funny. Living in New York my whole life, I realized that this is a city that a lot of people move to get to go away from somewhere, whereas I've always lived here, so I kind of take it for granted a little bit. Like, I guess this is a place you'd want to escape to. Meanwhile, I'll visit my friends in small towns, in the middle of the country and be like, this is so cool. And they're like, are you crazy? What do you mean it's cool? It's quiet. There's nothing to do here. I know. It's so relaxing. Like, I went to Arizona for the first time with my fiance because her family's from out there, and it was quiet, it was warm, it was nice, and I was like, oh, this is what it's like to relax and not do 1,000 things at once. Now I see why people will go to those places.
Yeah.
Because those big cities have that kind of rush and draw that creative types kind of tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah, well, that's where we get the most work.
Well, that's also true. So are you doing, I know you said you have no plans to go on a tour anytime soon, but are you doing live gigs around California? Do you have live gigs out there or regular shows that you do?
Well, I have a DJ gig that I do twice a month out here in LA for a mashup club called Bootie LA.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's right. I've seen those ads online. And so how did you end up getting that DJ gig?
Well, I've been a DJ for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Before I started doing music, I thought I wanted to be a commercial DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Even went to school for it for a year, and then I found out that, oh, I don't get to play what I want to play. Oh, that sucks. No, I don't want to do that anymore. So I kind of just, stuck to making my little mixtapes for friends and whatnot, and actual tapes on cassettes,
Oh, yeah, back when those were still the main media.
Yeah, and then for extra cash around LA, I would, take DJ gigs, but I could never settle on a genre. I'd be like, a dance DJ, 1 minute, hip-hop DJ the next, and then mashups kind of came out and were formed, and I fell in love with that as a genre just because I didn't have to only play one form of music. I could play all of it at the same time. So when the mashup thing kind of happened in the, mid-aughts, I discovered Bootie LA and started going. And I was also making my own mashups, so I would give them my mashups to play in the club, and they liked them, and they asked me to DJ, and kind of just spiraled out of control, and now I'm there twice a month.
Very cool. And so the DJ thing, you said you've been doing even longer. So I'm surprised, though, that you don't get to play what you want to play. Is that a thing that is common knowledge? I guess not, since you didn't find out until you went to school for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you are listening to a mainstream radio station, that is not picking that music. The musical director is picking that music. Actually, most radio stations work that way, where the musical director picks the music and the DJ just plays what he's told.
So then the DJ is just filling this role as like a personality. They're not actually getting
pretty much
music.
Yeah.
That's
unless they're like a specialty, mix show DJ. They're definitely being told what to play. They're just a personality.
That's kind of depressing to learn as someone who's... Oh,
I was so depressed to learn that.
Like, as someone who loves music, and I mean, I've had my music website for a while now, but I've always thought about, like anyone who has technology, I make playlists on Spotify, and I make all these mixes, and I'm like, I could totally do this. This would be great. I could get getting a gig playing music would be amazing, but that's so depressing to learn that you don't actually get to choose.
No, being the musical director is the gig you want.
Yeah, but it just doesn't seem quite the same. Being a guy in a suit writing lists of songs, I feel like, meh.
Yeah.
But I'm not to knock that job. I'm sure it's a great job. It's just it's not, what I envisioned being a DJ would be like. But that's cool that you get to do these live gigs. And so are they evening, weekend gigs usually, the twice a month gigs?
Yeah, they're twice a month on Saturdays. Usually the first and third Saturday of the month.
Very cool. That's awesome. And have you ever, do you look to do DJ gigs at other places, or are you just kind of content to do them at Bootie LA for now?
Well, Bootie is an international club. I've actually gotten to go over to Bootie Berlin and DJ there.
Very cool.
And there's also a Bootie in New York that goes off 4 times a year that I've done a couple times. And Bootie San Francisco is where it all started, and I go up there a couple times a year.
That's awesome. So they're kind of a little bit, all over, and you get to see different parts of the world as a result. That's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really cool club, and I'm very thankful for it. And then, there's the other whatever side gigs come a birthday party. I've actually DJ'd a friend's wedding before. That was pretty fun.
That's cool.
And then, whenever if somebody can fit my bill, I DJ'd the Santa Barbara West Beach Festival one year. That was pretty cool too. I was right there on the beach.
And so now, besides the DJ work and of course your solo work that you've been doing as ShyBoy lately, do you have any aspirations to try other genres too? You do a lot of genre meshing within your own music, which now that you've talked about your DJ gigs some more makes a lot of sense, that you like to mix all these different things. Are there other genres of music you've been interested in trying that you have not maybe played specifically yet?
Well, that's the Daisy Pusher EP that's coming out. Is actually a house EP, dance music.
Oh, very cool.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to put it out, was just because house seems to be like a quote-unquote new sound, even though it's not.
Right, yeah, it's been around for a while, but it's gaining, like, I guess, mainstream popularity now.
Yeah, the EDM thing seems to be kind of winding down, and tempos are slowing down, and people are wanting house in all these, because I also do music for film and television, so I get, lists of things that people are looking for, and now everybody's looking for house, so, hey, I have a house EP I did a while back, so I'll go ahead and put that out.
That makes sense, you gotta strike the iron while it's hot, and if things are gaining mainstream popularity. I mean, it's kind of funny how the mainstream will find something and claim, this is brand new, and you're like, no, it's been out for a decade. Like, what are you talking about?
New to you, so it's new.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool. That's awesome that you're kind of gonna put that out there too, so people can see the variety of sound that you have. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question now, which I like to ask artists just because I'm curious what they lean towards. When you play live, do you have a favorite song that you prefer to play, or a favorite few songs that are just that much more fun to perform live than your other songs?
Actually, going back to covers, there's a cover of Sade's Is It a Crime? Mm-hmm. That is probably my favorite song to sing live.
Oh, that's awesome.
That I started doing with my band a couple of years ago. And it just, I don't know, it's just one of my favorite things. I mean, I'd always loved that song, and I actually got to kind of, rearrange it and put it in my key so that I'm able to, hit those notes just as hard as she does and give it that emotive quality. But yeah, that's probably my favorite song to sing right now.
That's awesome. And since you've made it clear that you do like a lot of different genres of music and like to mix them together, would you say that there was one very specific influence coming up of where your music leaned towards? I mean, you said you started in rap metal and rap rock. Were there artists that really influenced you, or is it just kind of a whole grouping of artists that really impacted your style?
Yeah, it's just a whole grouping, like I said, I grew up listening to Donna Summer. Prince was a big influence. And then, bands like Nirvana, groups like the Beastie Boys. And then, I'll even get into some jazz vocals like Nina Simone. And I was really big into the trip-hop scene when that started, like with Tricky and Portishead and Massive Attack and then a Cherry.
So it sounds like your tastes in music are kind of all over the place, and you've let like a little bit of everything kind of influence and carry where you're headed musically.
Yeah, I do like a little bit of everything. I mean, even opera and classical, and even a little bit of country.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's kind of a cool thing, because your musical, I think it would be impossible for your music to ever sound samey, because you literally don't listen to the same thing all the time. So you're always bringing in new influences to kind of steer your direction, which I think is a neat way musically.
Yeah, I try to do that a little bit on purpose. I think there's two settings for songwriters, and one is input and one is output. And you've got to, be on input for a while before you can actually put something out that's good. In my opinion, that's how I work.
Right. Has there ever been either music that you've created that you just couldn't find the right lyrics for, or lyrics that you could just never find the right music to fit, or do you kind of always manage to figure it out?
Sure. There's a good handful or two of songs that remain unfinished because of one of those scenarios or more.
And do you find that it's better to just kind of let them sit and come back to them later and hope that has that ever happened? Like you let something sit for a while and when you came back to it, you were able to solve that puzzle?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what the Daisy Pusher EP is, because we did that a while ago while we were touring heavily with Hypnogaja. Mark and I wanted to just have a little outlet that wasn't so aggressive.
Right.
So we came up with this kind of loungy house sound, and it took us a while, but now it's finally found its place, and we're about to put it out.
Awesome. That's really cool. I'd meant to ask, with the band Hypnogaja, where did the name for that band come from?
It was probably one of the only things I learned in college. It's the state between wakefulness and sleep.
Oh.
You're not awake, you're not asleep, you're in Hypnogaja.
Oh, wow. Interesting. That's pretty cool. And
I just thought it was a cool word.
No, yeah, well, yeah, and I mean that's as good a reason to name a band as any other. But kind of, I mean, a lot of the sounds that you guys came out with, especially the last record you guys put out, kind of had that kind of almost dream state feel. So it definitely makes sense. I still remember the first time I ever heard the March from that record, and that song, like, it still is one of my favorite songs. Like, if I want to get energized or get going, like, I just put that song on. It gets me moving.
Cool. It's a bit of an anthem.
Yeah. And I think I was very excited to see, because there was this break, and then of course you started coming out with the solo records. And when I started listening to Waters of Mars, I was so excited to hear both something new from you, but also, like I said, almost a similar sound on some of the songs to what you had been doing with Hypnogaja, that sound still exists. Because, like I said, the fusion of music that you do is not really very commonplace. Like, mashups are popular, but a lot of people who are in a genre, like you said, because of the record labels, are just doing that sound. And it's nice to hear something that can go from one place to another in the same record.
Cool.
Because my other show besides the one-on-one interview show that I do is a music review show, and we review albums every week. And a big problem we hear is when a record just gets comfortable doing the same thing. It's boring
Right.
for a music listener. You want to be engaged and entertained when listening, and when something sounds the same all the time, it's not very interesting sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I mean, it's a fine line, though, because I think some artists actually pull off their same sound over and over again very well. Like The Weeknd, I think, does a really good job at that. And then, artists like Sade, like there's nobody else that sounds like Sade, and she can not have the album come out for 10 years and then 10 years later put out an album that sounds just like the one before it, and I'll still love it.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, it's like a lot of people say the same thing about AC/DC. They've been making the same music for 30 years.
Yeah.
So people still eat it up, and I'm one of those people. So I guess you're right. It does depend on the band's, I guess it depends on the band's artistry, even within that same sound, too, to a point.
Yeah. Yeah, if they have a strong identity, like one of those artists, then they can pull it off. More power to them.
You're clearly a talented singer, and you do some great work on your records, and you're instrumentalist as well. What do you have a favorite sound or thing that you work on with your records? Do you prefer to play music, DJ, sing, or is it a little of everything? Or do you have one that you lean more towards?
It's a little everything. I mean, I definitely look at singing as an outlet, and sometimes if I don't get to sing and kind of release that tension, I can get a little moody. So that's definitely an outlet for me, singing. But I don't know. I lean towards anything that lets me be moody.
There you go. Is there any instruments or things related to music that you really look forward to learning that you haven't really grasped yet or gotten the hang of that you want to learn over the next few years?
I mean, I guess with all the rapid changing technology, I'd like to learn how to, I don't know, maybe work an Ableton board or something weird that I've never done before.
That's cool. And is that something that you've even played with at all a little, or is it something that you've not even touched?
No, that's just an idea.
Something, a goal to set to work towards.
Yeah, maybe.
Cool, very awesome. And so you said earlier that you're very into comics, and Walking Dead was one of the big ones, but there was news that came out a couple days ago about how Marvel's planning to end its whole universe. Did you see that article?
I didn't. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't click on it, so I don't really know what's going on with that. Are they, like, really they're just going to end all the comics, or? Well,
it looks like they're going to try and do, like, an extinction level event or giant reset button where they just end everything with one giant event. And a lot of people are just like, what are you doing? Why? You know, it's like like Marvel is so ahead of itself as far as, you know, with the movies and everything else. It's got so much steam. It's like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
But I mean, DC did that a few years ago with the New 52. So I feel like every company just wants to kind of start over, you know, or try something different.
Well, it's easier for them to keep track of, you know, what happened in issue 197, you know, when they're already on issue 1,000, you know.
Right. Kind of why I like when certain comics are kind of just a small compressed story, because then you don't have to worry about it getting ridiculous. Like The Walking Dead is never going to have a multiverse event because it's it's just people trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
You know. But
the best multiverse event was the Dark Reign. I really liked that a lot.
Dark Reign was actually pretty awesome. Yeah.
The Dark X-Men and the Dark Avengers. I thought that was totally awesome.
Is there any new comics you're looking forward to coming out specifically that aren't out yet?
None that I can think of. I mean, honestly, I'm bad. I don't go to my comic book shop anymore. I just buy everything on my apps. Except for the old issues of Spawn, which are not available on the Image app. I don't know if you know that.
Really? So they have newer Spawn, but not older stuff?
Yes, exactly. They've got like the Curse of Spawn and all the other Spawn offshoots, but they don't have the actual Spawn books available on there.
It seems like a poor choice.
I'm guessing that it's because Todd McFarlane wants to make the books worth more.
Yeah, that's true. If you can get them everywhere digitally, then their value would plummet. And
yeah. Well, I think he learned that lesson when they pressed Spawn issue number 1 a million times, and now it's worth like nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty much worthless. Yeah. So you're clearly a big fan of Spawn. Did you absolutely hate the movie they made in the 90s?
Oh, yeah, it was really, really terrible. I hated it.
I can only imagine. Like, I remember at the time I hadn't really been into Spawn yet. I had just discovered the HBO cartoon, and I was watching that, which was really awesome.
That was awesome. I loved that show.
That TV show was incredible, and then the movie was coming out after I'd seen the cartoon. I was like, oh, a live-action movie? Michael Jai White? Oh, this will probably be awesome. And nope.
It had promisings, but
yeah,
John Leguizamo is a bit of a clown, in my opinion. Not in this cool, Spawn, scary way.
Yeah, it just didn't work. Like, I understand what they were trying to do with the character, and some of the stuff was kind of cool, but yeah, as a movie, it just kind of fell apart. But yeah, that cartoon actually, I think they recently released on a DVD like anthology thing, and I'm thinking about picking it up because I remember staying up late, way past my bedtime, watching that cartoon that I probably shouldn't have been watching at the age it came out.
Yeah, exactly.
But was so excited to see this ridiculously twisted and awesome cartoon.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't do that enough anymore. Like a lot of the cartoons that are quote unquote adult or made that way are just goofball and very...
Yeah, they still kind of skew them so that children aren't scared or, parents aren't offended.
Yeah, and that cartoon was definitely one thing where they, it was very true to the comics, it was very these images.
I've always loved darker comics like that. Like I've always kind of preferred Marvel to DC just because it's a little bit darker. People die, things like that. Except for my favorites are the really dark Batman novels, like The Long Halloween.
Oh yeah, or the Hush series was also
the
pretty
Hush
dark.
was really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading Hush for the first time. I hadn't read it, and then I'd played one of the newer Batman video games, and they referenced Hush. And I was like, I want to know more about this character, so my friend lent me the first book, and it blew me away.
Yeah. really, really good. Yeah, The Killing Joke is another good Batman.
Oh yeah, I keep hearing about that one. I haven't read it yet, but I'm told that I should because it's apparently a killing joke. Because that's one's like the full story of the Joker and his origins and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, the Joker is probably one of my favorite DC villains because he's just so multidimensional and twisted. He's a fun villain. Fun. I use the term fun loosely, but he's an interesting villain. He's an interesting villain to read because there's so much to him. He's not just homicidal. There's so many more things to him.
Yeah.
That is just interesting to read about,
Yeah.
Well, ShyBoy, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. It's a pleasure to get to talk to you. I'm always a fan of your work and everything you're doing, and I will definitely keep an eye out on that. I'm looking forward to the Daisy Pushers EP when that comes out later this month. This show is a bi-weekly show, so I believe this episode will be out a little over 2 weeks from now. So I'll be sure to send it your way via Facebook so you can share it around. But I really appreciate you taking the time to chat, man.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
And if you're ever in New York again, let me know.
I will, definitely.
All right, take care, man.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All right, bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed these interviews, please subscribe to this and the Crash Chords podcast on iTunes, where you can also rate us and review us. You can also like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Crash Chords Web, our Tumblr, and our YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post in the comment area below each post. And keep the discussion going, because remember, music is life, and life is good.